guys, welcome back to Funeral Facts. My name is Victoria. I'm a licensed funeral director and embalmer, and I'm here to share with you the facts about funeral service, both in modern times and throughout history. So today we're actually going to be talking about visitations, i.e., why do we have visitations, what is their importance, and what goes into having a visitation for a loved one. So to start, a visitation, or a viewing as some people call them, is a period of time when a deceased person is laid out at the funeral home and people can come to pay their respects to that person and to offer condolences to the family. Visitations usually are one day. Some people like to do a period of 2 days. That was a more popular way of doing things in the past. Nowadays, we usually do visitations for 1 day, 3 to 4 hours, usually at night or on the weekends, maybe in the afternoon. But usually it's just the 1 day of the visitation, and then the following day is the funeral service and the final disposition. Now, when I say laid out, that means that the person has been embalmed, they've been dressed, they've been placed into their casket, fully cosmetized, and they are ready for the family to come and see them. So when dressing a body for a visitation, we'll usually ask the family to give us whatever the person would have worn in life. This includes any jewelry items that you may want to put on them, belts, other types of accessories, and undergarments. If the person did not have anything that they can provide to us, we will of course provide them with anything that they might need, which includes undergarments. And I have gone shopping for quite a few families, because sometimes, you know, if a person has passed away and they were in a nursing home, they were up there in age, very elderly, they may not have any nice clothes anymore. And it could be that their clothing was donated, or they just don't have anything that would be what they would want to be laid out in their casket with. So in that regards, we will provide whatever the family may need. And of course, this doesn't mean that the person needs to be dressed in a gown or a suit or anything super fancy if that was not what they would have liked to be wearing. We always tell the families, you know, if your dad or your grandpa was not a suit-wearing guy, no need to put a suit on them. We can put them in their comfy clothes. We can put them in a sweatshirt if you really want to. It all depends on what they would have wanted. I've also had many peers and friends, when they find out that we do put undergarments, including bras, on deceased people, they've told me that they will come back and haunt me if I ever put a bra on them that they will be forced to wear for all of eternity. Trust me, I hear you, and if you don't want a bra, I won't put a bra on you. No problem. I get it. A lot of families also express concern that their loved ones' clothing that they wanted to be laid out in won't fit them. Maybe they've lost weight over the years, or they've maybe gained weight over the years, who knows? But we always assure them that we do have tricks that we use to make the clothing fit as well as possible. Little tucks and ties and things here and there, little ways of filling out clothes if the person was underweight or something like that. So we always have things that we can do in order to make that person look their absolute best. So once the person is dressed, we place them in the casket that the family or the person themselves had selected. And we make sure that they are positioned in a way to make them look at peace and like they're very restful, peaceful, like they're just resting basically. So in my area that I work in, the more popular options for caskets, more widely used caskets, would be a half couch casket. What that means is there's a cut in the middle of the casket, the end over the feet is closed, and the lid over the head is open. So you see the person from basically the waist up, and then everything down below is covered with the other end of the lid of that casket. In different states, and also in the southern part of my state, they use full couch caskets more frequently, and that means that the entire lid of the casket is in one piece, opens up in one piece, and you see the entire person laid out. Now, in that respect, for a full couch casket, you're going to need to provide us with shoes. For a half couch casket, we always say shoes are optional. You won't really see the person's feet. If you would like us to put shoes on them, or slippers, or what have you, we would be more than happy to do so, but it's not a requirement. It's whatever you prefer. Now, even though one style of casket may be more popular in the area that you're in, you can of course always request a different style. So if you wanted a half couch in an area where full couch is used, or vice versa, you want a full couch in an area where half couch is used, request it. Your funeral home will be more than happy to accommodate you. After placing the person in their casket, we will cosmetize them and do their hair. Now, different funeral directors have different styles of using cosmetics. Some funeral directors prefer to use the traditional mortuary cosmetics, which are usually made by the same companies that make embalming chemicals. I tend to not like mortuary cosmetics so much because they tend to be rather thick and heavy, and they can make a person look fake, if that makes sense. I tend not to use those types of cosmetics unless the person had a lot of discoloration that needs to be covered up and can't be covered up with other types of cosmetics. For me personally, I like to use just regular drugstore cosmetics that I may use on my own face. Now, doing cosmetics for a funeral is a lot different than doing cosmetics for the living. It's more of making the person look lifelike rather than enhancing the natural face. So I'll use, you know, some foundation, like a light wash of foundation, and maybe some rouge on the warm points of the face, like the cheeks and the nose, and a little bit over the brows, the chin, sometimes the eyelids, stuff like that. Now, it actually boils down to how good your embalming is for how much cosmetic you really need. If your embalming is really good and you get nice color to the skin, some plumpness to it, and you really get them looking natural in the first place, you don't need that much cosmetic. So I'll also use like a natural lip color as well for people that want a more natural look. There are certain cases where families will come in and say, you know, this was my mom's favorite lipstick. Or, you know, Aunt Sally liked to wear bright pink lipstick. And in that case, we'll use whatever the family either provides us with, or if we have it on hand. Same thing goes for eyeshadow. If it's a woman or a man that wore eyeshadow in life, we'd be more than happy to put eyeshadow on them of whatever color they wanted. And same thing with nail polish. If they liked a certain type of nail polish color, we can do that for them as well. The main point is that we want to make the person look most like themselves. If that means that they were very natural and we just have to do a natural look to them, we will do that. And if they wore a lot of makeup in real life, we will do it up for them, no problem. I actually went to a funeral for a former neighbor of mine a while ago, a couple of years ago. And I remember this neighbor as always wearing a full face of makeup, like cake face makeup. She always went over the top, thick foundation, lashes, and blue eyeshadow, like blue eyeshadow. Not like what I'm wearing, like it was like 80s blue. But yeah, she always had a full face of makeup. So when I went to her funeral, to her visitation, I was expecting to see that, and I did. I saw the cake face, the blue eyeshadow, all done up the way that she always wanted to look. So that to me was the natural her. That's the way she always looked in life. So that is okay. Now, if she never wore makeup a day in her life, and this actually happened with my aunt, actually. She never wore makeup. She didn't even wear makeup on her wedding day. She never wore makeup. And unfortunately, when I did go to the visitation, she had bright pink lipstick. And not even just bright pink, it was like pink and glittery. And I'm looking at it. I remember looking at it and just being like, why would they choose that color? No. Like in that case, I would have put like a very natural color that would match her natural lips. But this was just like, it was very obvious that she was wearing lipstick. But so you see, the important thing is to make them look like they would have looked in life. No makeup wearing people, natural cosmetics. Makeup wearing people, we'll do it up however you want. So what's the purpose of all this? Why do we go all this trouble to do all of this for the deceased so that people can view them? So the tradition of viewing the body before the final disposition dates back way, way, way in the past. The early ancient Greeks used to do it, the ancient Romans did it, the early Christians also would have viewings in the home. And that back then was really to make sure that the death actually did occur and to lessen the possibility of burying a person alive, which unfortunately did happen a lot back then. Of course, nowadays, with our advances in technology and our medical knowledge, it's pretty easy to find out whether a person has indeed passed away. So the purpose of a visitation has changed quite a bit. Visitations nowadays are really to help the families have a sense of closure and of peace, and to begin to accept the reality of the fact that their loved one is no longer with them. And it also helps them to have a better final mental picture of their loved one looking peaceful. You know, sometimes if a person passes away in a hospital or a nursing home or under hospice care, their loved ones may remember them as being, you know, in pain and not looking their best, not looking comfortable or happy or peaceful. So this is a good way for that final mental picture to be a nice one that will elicit feelings of comfort rather than feelings of unrest at remembering their loved one being in pain. You know, after we've had time to do our work, we can bring a sense of peace to the look of the deceased, which in turn helps the family attain their own sense of peace, and it really helps them to accept the loss and begin the grieving process in a more healthy way. Now, when it comes to children and visitations, there are certain important points to consider. Some people think that children should not be allowed at visitations. I don't think it that way, but there are some steps that you need to take with the child before considering bringing them to a visitation. So it's important to know that it's been proven that before the age of 9, around there, children don't really understand the finality of death. So children that are younger than 9, they don't really have that grasp of that permanence. They may think that, you know, their loved one is just sleeping and that they'll come home again. So it's important to know that and to be able to communicate with them that no, you know, grandpa is not going to come home. Grandpa is sleeping. If there's religion involved, maybe you can say they're with God. If there's no religion, you know, just say that, you know, they're going to be sleeping for for the rest of whatever. However it makes sense to talk to your own child or, you know, grandchild or something like that, to just allow them to, in their own way, understand what's happening. Now, after the age of 9, they do understand that death is final. They have a better grasp on what death is and what that means, that, you know, grandma or grandpa or Aunt Nancy, whatever, is not going to be coming home. They are going to be sleeping forever. Either way, it's very important to have a conversation with the child before considering bringing them to the visitation. It's important to explain to them in a way that makes sense to them what they're going to see and what that means. And in doing that, you can check their comfort level and see, what are they comfortable with? Are they comfortable with going into the chapel to go up to the casket? Are they more comfortable with sitting in the other room? Are they more comfortable with not going at all? It really is important to adhere to that level of comfort that the child expresses to you, because forcing them to do something that they really don't want to do or they're not comfortable with can have consequences. It could instill a fear of death in them. It could instill a fear of visitations or funerals or something related. And we don't want to do that. So it's very important to keep that line of communication open and do what feels comfortable to the child. And of course, if you or your loved one feel that you don't want a visitation or a viewing, that's completely fine. Some people feel like they don't need that closure. They don't require that in order to come to terms with a death or in order to start their grieving process. And that is completely valid. You are to do what you feel comfortable with and whatever makes you feel at peace with the situation. If that means not having a visitation, that's totally fine. So that's all the facts about visitations that I have for you guys today. I hope that that helped explain what really the purpose of having a visitation is. Hopefully it helps you in some sort of way. Be sure to let me know down in the comments if there's anything else you would want me to discuss in a future video. I'd be more than happy to do so. And make sure to follow me on my social medias, which will also be linked below. Leave me a like and subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. And until next time, respect your dead, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!